Your microphone on. After Accountability Board meeting to order Tuesday, February 13, 2024.
Roll call. Carol McIntosh.
Present.
Joseph King.
Present.
Linda Booth. Patrick Julian.
Present.
Billy Dancer. She's here. Micah Hutchison.
Present.
William Harris. Frida Williams.
Here.
And myself. We do have a quorum.
Okay, next item on there is prayer. Anybody like to give a word of prayer?
Father, I love to pray. Bow our heads. Heavenly Father, I want to thank you for another day. Father, we ask that you lift up each and every family that's represented here tonight. Father, may the words of our mouth and the meditation of our spirits be acceptable in your name. All these blessings asked in your darling Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Okay, next item on the agenda is a remark from the chair. I did a little change in the agenda this evening so we can get the business of the board together. One thing we would not, when public speaking, we would let you speak, and we would let you speak without interference. We would not take questions or anything from the public while we're working on the business at the Accountability Board. So we would like for you to give us that respect. The same, we would respect you in the corner when you're speaking. We got some issues we need to get out of the way. And I want to get out of here, get these out of the way because they're very important to this board. And we only have a couple items on the agenda today. And we hope we can get to you in a timely fashion. With that, I would go to the next item on the agenda, changing and approve of the agenda. About my phone is ringing. It's in my coat pocket. Where have I put my coat at?
Ain't it over there?
What is it over there?
Okay, Art, with the quickness.
Did you?
Is it okay with the quickness?
I can't stand that, man. That was going to irritate me all night, man.
Well, Chair, I move that we approve the agenda.
Second.
Motion proper second to approve the agenda with any changes. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Well, next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. We do not have any minutes today. It was quite an extensive agenda, and Ms. Lill is in training this week, so she's not, it's something she wasn't able to get together. So we will have an agenda at the next meeting. Which we'll say the 22nd of this, but before we get out of here, we might not want to meet that day. since we already did the second meeting this month. So we will discuss that later on. Right now, we will start getting to the discussion. And I will, because of last week, I know some members had some questions, especially new members, and they didn't get the opportunity to ask no question, but I'm gonna give you my take on position and on the communication we got from legal that was dealing with a certain ordinance. Now, I've been on this board from day one. When we hired our first Buzzperson, that ordinance didn't exist. We never used that ordinance. We put together, this board at that time, put together what we were expecting from our Buzzperson qualification. Now, where this ordinance come from, I do not know. As we was getting ready to hire, and we was dealing with H&R, had no time, when we did the first ombudsman. Now when we was going through the process of this Buzzperson, that ordinance never showed up at HR, and it never showed up to us. So I don't know where it's been all the time, or where have it been. That ordinance seemed to have been written in May of 2019. This board was not set complete until July 2019. Why an ordinance be put up and we didn't have a board, I have no idea. But saying that, I don't want to say ordinance do mean something. And we can't ignore ordinance. This ordinance is one that was never available to us at any time, and I've been here 4.5 years. And that ordinance never come up. So I am with that being said, and we're going to discuss in there what they really, the board made their decision. And at this point, I think the board had a right to make the decision they did. I don't see anything that could change that decision, not by information I got and from my research. Now, I'm willing to call, I know who was on the board at the time, I'm willing to call them, but I'm willing to even call the ex, the mayor, the city attorney at the time, and most of the council people, because I can't find anywhere where that ever came before the council. I went back to everything I could, and that never, I can't find anything. Paul may have something showing it, but I cannot find it. With that, I'm ignoring that communication. Board have a discussion here and decision that we could, and I'm ready to let everyone chime in. I'm glad that we listen to each other. If you got questions, let's be adult in the room today. With that, we're open for discussion.
So I have a question, because I want to make sure I'm understanding what I'm hearing you say. There's an ordinance that took effect in 2019. The board was established in 2020?
No, the board, that was an ordinance that we received after we had voted on our Buzzperson. That have a date of May 2019.
Are you contesting the validity of that ordinance?
Yes, I am.
Okay, and that's because you can't find where city council did the readings and adopted it.
Okay, I can't find when we came together in July 2019. That ordinance was never presented, never was available. This is the first time, 4 and a half years later, this ordinance can show up. It never showed up with HR. It didn't show up when we hired the first Buzzperson. And we did not use anything with that ordinance, never been brought to the board attention. And it might exist, but where it was headed at and why we had no access to it is questionable. And we did what we had to with all the information we had at the time, and it was legal at the time. So I have no well, I'm not gonna get into a whole lot till we have a discussion how we chime in anything that is important to me as we discuss. Michael.
Mr. King, since we never received the ordinance, by continuing the process, are we violating the charter? Because as it says by the charter, like not following these principal rules as done by ordinance of the mayor and council, are we in violation of the charter? Would we be? Can we approach the administration and council to work with us on creating a job description that would fit
Well,
a more broader candidate?
well, the clerk's been asked to go back and see, can she find where that was so far it happened. She haven't been presented. Wrong with it is it never been signed. And I'm not saying, I don't have any, I can't say what it was ordered, but we never had access to it. And I never found it on the website when I looked at it. And I do know it was not available when we hired the first ombudsman. And talking to an HR as we went through this process in the last year, that never been available. They never later presented. First time I saw this ordinance, we can have it. And it showed up, and that was afterwards. And I have a lot of concerns with that.
Has the ordinance been published? Because it doesn't become effective until it is published. Do we know if it was ever published?
Well,
No, I never found it.
Explain published for me, so I can do better.
It has to be published for the public. You can't hold somebody accountable to something they don't know about.
Okay.
So it has to be published, so it's on public record,
Yes.
so people can be,
It's published. It's on the city, it's on the ordinance. I never saw it because I didn't know to click on new legislation. If you click on new legislation, it lists every ordinance that was passed since 2012. Anything before 2012, you can find it under ordinances, but anything after 2012 is all posted under new legislation. So when I saw it, I asked Davina for it. Davina's the one that had to tell me how to go and find it. And when I found it, it's been posted. So it's on the website.
so Davina told you where to find it, but she couldn't answer your question on when it was adopted?
Right.
She told,
Because it says right on here it was adopted May 13th,
That's what it's showing.
2019,
That's what
under
it's-
Mayor Karen Weaver.
and I asked Davina, I said, because it was not signed, does that make it valid? Davina told me, she said, nobody has to sign it. She said, the problem is it's like a pocket veto. She said, you can pocket it, nobody signs it, but it still goes into effect after 30 days with no signature, after it's been posted. And so she said, that's why it says it was adopted on the 13th of May, 2019. So even though it doesn't have any signatures, she said the ordinance went into effect. That was when the ordinance went into effect. I asked you these questions because I was trying to figure out, I thought the ordinance had to be valid. In order to be valid, I thought the ordinance had to be signed by the mayor and signed by the city clerk. But I found out that that's not true.
And you're right on those points. The point I have is who authored that? Who was the author of that ordinance? Somebody had to do that. It had to be come through the mayor, the council. I can't find, and nobody can tell me who was the author of that ordinance.
Well, the only person who's the author of the ordinance per the charter, it says that the mayor is responsible for the job descriptions of all principal officers, which means that it had to have come from administration at that time. Since the ombudsman is a principal officer, it had to come from the administration in order to write that what the job descriptions are. So it had to come from administration because that's what the charter says.
Yeah, well, that could be easy to check. I mean, I know what you're saying, but that's not the information I have. And, you know, this ombudsman position is getting to be more of a, I never heard anyone been in such a, that make this ombudsman position such a priority in this city. Number one is nobody, until a few months ago, most people in here couldn't even tell you who was being the ombudsman. Most people couldn't tell you who the board member was on this board. Now, I don't know why there's got to be such a thing to the city. A position that is somebody that's going to investigate you, that you take such an interest in who they are and who can be hired. Nobody goes out and take that kind of interest unless you find who you control the board. People, something is not right here.
So,
And the idea of, so I would like to sit around over at these board members here. You know, you can probably take the chair, but I don't want to sit at the.
Linda's coming at 6, a little bit after 6.
All right, I'm Ms. Boomer, you get it right. I don't know, that's just my opinion. I think we all have an opinion, and let's discuss it and move on.
Still have your hand up?
I haven't been recognized.
She had her hand up.
Oh, I didn't say, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The first thing is this. Outside of all this stuff you're saying about an ordinance and when it was passed and blah, 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 Ms. Little meets the criteria before the ordinance and after the ordinance. Number 2, this board and this ombudsman's office is supposed to be independent of anything in the city. And the only person that is supposed to have jurisdiction over the ombudsperson is this board. And it's in the charter that we have the right to come up with the description for the qualifications for the ombudsperson. So it doesn't matter what ordinance the city comes up with, and we're supposed to protect the ombudsperson from political persecution. So if we're gonna allow the administration to dictate who we hire, what grounds we hire them under, what the qualifications are going to be, then yes, we are in violation of the charter. Because the charter says for us to act independently. The charter says the ombudsperson is independent of any city officials in the city due to the fact that she may have to, or he may have to investigate these very people, okay? And that is why this board solely was given the sole authorization to supervise the ombudsperson, make the criteria for the ombudsperson to be selected, to select the ombudsperson, and all of that. Now, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, we have an ordinance that showed up that nobody knows who the author is. Nobody knows when it came into effect. Just like that letter that went out that somebody signed the Ethics and Accountability Board's name to. And we asked Attorney Kim, because his name was also on the letter, who was the author. Of course, they never could tell us who the author was. And he told us basically that he had to protect them, even though this person had doctored up some documentation. So here we are with some more doctored up documentation that has railroaded this whole office and board. Because Attorney Kim gave his opinion, and after giving his opinion, he sent another letter after that, after all this stink got kicked up, stating that that was just his opinion, and that we do have the right to hire and all this stuff that we knew we had a right to do as a board. I'm like Mr. King, I've been here since day one. We haven't had, at first when we started out, it was an absolute no-no for any city politicians to get involved with how this office or this ombudsperson did things. And ever since this board has came into play, the city officials have dictated to this ombuds office and this board, right on down to where the ombudsperson office is. Now, we should have had the authority to determine, in order to protect the citizens, where the ombudsperson should be. We have not had authorization to handle the ombudsperson's financials, with the ombudsperson is supposed to do that. The mayor had the car. We had to fight him for that. Then it had to go to Mr. King. The bottom line is this ombudsperson has never been able to operate in their authority. And now this board is not being able to operate in its authority. And what concerns me is we have board members, I feel, who are falling subservient to administrators, to people whose campaigns they may be working on, to friends. And it's okay to have friends. I have friends too, okay? Let's be clear. Flint is small, okay? And we all love somebody on the opposite team, and that's fine. But we took an oath as Ethics and Accountability Board members, and it comes with some strict guidelines. And it doesn't matter who you're friends with, what came up. My position is this as an Ethics and Accountability Board member. We don't know who the author of this thing is. We don't know if this even been approved. We don't know if somebody's just typed something up and slapped it on the website maybe. We don't know when this came about. Attorney Kim is a whole lawyer. The city of Flint has plenty of people to protect them and to support them. This board made a decision. It made a legal decision. And we were well within our rights to do so. And we chose. And now all of a sudden, because somebody's given their opinion, now we coming up with all this old splitting hairs because we're too cowardly to stand on what we unanimously voted for. Okay? And we can't expect the citizens to have faith in this board when we don't have the backbone to stand up for what we decide. Now, city council don't know nothing about this. It just came from, they're saying it's under the Weaver's administration. Well, that's convenient. She's no longer here. So if I'm doctoring up something, I can put any date on there. Okay? So let's stop pretending like we're children and we don't understand how this thing could come up compromised. Okay? And the fact that somebody from the city, after we made this decision, just so happened to know where this ordinance that has never been seen or acted upon was, immediately, ain't that a big coinky dink? But we don't have any other supporting information to go with this ordinance. Nothing else. But yet we're ready to tear the whole board down, violating Ms. Shasta's rights as an employee and as a citizen. I don't care what the mayor did. The mayor has selected all the people he have a right to select for employment. He got a whole administration he done picked. And we can't select one person, not one person, that we know, we've seen her work. She stood up for us. She's done her job. She's bent over backwards for us. And you mean to tell me we don't have the authority to give her the opportunity that is within our right to do so without all of this? We as a board, as adults, can't make a decision. You can't look your buddy in the eye and say, this board has decided, sir, buddy old pal, sorry it didn't work out the way you wanted it to. Can I still have my favors or my opera funds without sacrificing the city or the dignity and integrity of the Ethics and Accountability Board? I love you all, but this is why I be so fired up, because I cannot keep showing up here, reading this charter, trying to operate within the guidelines of the charter, make decisions, hard decisions, and then every time I make a decision, or we make a decision as a board, somebody gets a phone call and oh, here we come, scared of our own shadows, scared to stand up for what we took an oath and promised that we would do. That's my only issue with this board. Like I said, it's not personal. It's the fact that we don't have the heart to operate in our authority, but yet we keep showing up to these meetings pretending like we're going to do some honest work. If we were going to do some honest work for the Ethics and Accountability Board, if we wanted to show ourselves approved to the city, we'd stand up for our decision right here and right now. If this city had a leg to stand on, then see us across the street at the courthouse, because that's what court is for. And it's okay if we were wrong. Let a judge who is non-biased, who that is their job, let us know if we are in the wrong at this point. Because nobody in this room is an authority, and I feel like at this point, some of everybody is in their feelings, and some of us may even be compromised. Our citizens deserve better. So let's go to court then. Let's see them in court then. If we're wrong, then let them use the legal system and the ramifications that they have within their means to prove us out of order. That's it for me.
You're here.
Anyone else?
Just briefly in response. One, I have no idea what letter you're insinuating was put out there by someone on this board.
No, somebody in the administration.
Oh, did a letter, and it looked like it came from this board?
Oh, this was before. This was a whole nother situation.
Oh,
The
okay.
Ethics and Accountability Board had received a complaint that we were addressing, and City Council decided to get involved. The next thing we know, we were getting a letter with Attorney Kim's stamp or whatever on it, and it said from the Ethics and Accountability Board, like this was our decision or our ruling, and it was not. And it had never came before this board.
Okay.
So we went to investigating, and we asked Attorney Kim, did he know anything about this or who the author of this letter was? And he said, yes, he did, but he was not going to get involved and tell us who had actually, basically that's forgery in my opinion, had forged this Ethics and Accountability Board names to a document and was trying to make City Council stand on it. So it's not like we haven't experienced these old type of shenanigans before. This is what happens when we try to stand up.
All right, well, I just want to make sure it wasn't anything that I
No.
wasn't aware of, but
Let me give you kind of answer that, what really happened. Is at the time, what chair at the time went before the council, let them know that they had the power to enforce their own rules and over their own members. What came out was that the council acted on something that said that the board had recommended, and it came from the council, and it was done on recommendation of the board, but the board never give a recommendation, never act on it. when we asked Mr. Kim at the time, is who was the one who wrote it up and say, this board that recommend that, and who it came from. He took the attorney-client privilege, say he could not tell us who that was. And I don't know, and I have a problem with that. As the board is a sophisticated board there, we have a right to ask for those things.
And this is a city board, and he's a city attorney.
But, that's what we had at that time. I don't agree with it. And that's the answer to the question you're talking about.
And that's what I just said.
So I wanted to first get an understanding, but in response to what Carol is suggesting, I want to be clear. I think going to court should be a last resort. And we have inherent powers on the Ethics and Accountability Board that we have yet to utilize. We have the ability to conduct our own hearings, conduct our own investigations, issue our own subpoenas. So if we feel there's been some inappropriate interference, I think we need to do that before we run across the street to a courthouse. And that would be my position on it.
I'm not suggesting that. I'm saying if the city does not like the selection that we've made for the ombudsperson, I'm saying they have a limitless authority just like us, so let them do some subpoenas and hold some hearings and run across the street. That's what I said. That was my suggestion. Let the city fight their position, not this board fight the city's position, because that's not our position to take, from my understanding of the charter. But I could be wrong.
Anyone else?
Can we ask our attorney who has been assigned to us by the city to give us some insight on ordinance and what he perceives it to be?
Do you have an answer for that, Joe?
Well, and I think we've kind of discussed this before. I think it's encapsulated in Mr. Kim's opinion, that his written opinion that he did to the board. But essentially, under the requirements of the charter, because this is the ombudsperson is a principal officer position, the qualifications and the duties, qualifications, and requirements for that position are established by ordinance, which is adopted by city council.
No, it's not.
It's my opinion that the ordinance that we've been referring to, this, I believe it was the May 2019 opinion, was properly adopted by council, and it does set forth the requirements and qualifications for the ombudsperson's position. Mr. Kim's legal memorandum essentially stated that because it's an ordinance that was established, that was created by the requirements of the charter and properly adopted by city council in 2019, then the Ethics and Accountability Board does not have the legal authority to not abide by a legally adopted ordinance.
We don't know if it was legally or
Excuse me.
What do you got?
It feels like it's a two-sided sword, because one side, it says that the Ethics and Accountability Board appoints an ombudsperson, while in another part of the charter, it says personal principal officers. The qualifications are set up by the administration and approved by council. So what you're saying is our only power here is to investigate the origin of the ordinance and its application, because if it wasn't used for prior ombudspersons, why is it now being used for this one? And that's the only power we have, so we can't appoint because of this other piece of the charter.
Well, I'm not sure on the qualifications of other ombudspersons who have been appointed.
Well, we've had one since 2019, and I mean, if they've never seen it before in the other hirings, why wasn't this ordinance presented to the board when we first posted this position?
That would be a question probably for HR and Mr. Smith. I'm not sure if it was given to the board, and if it wasn't, why not? But essentially, yes, the Ethics and Accountability Board does have the power and authority to appoint an ombudsperson, but they are constrained by the requirements of the ordinance. So the ombudsperson that's appointed by the Ethics and Accountability Board must meet the requirements set forth in the ordinance that is established law and was adopted by city council.
And is that ordinance question? Sorry.
Wait a minute, one at a time.
Could that be the reason why, and I'm just asking, could that be the reason why you didn't encounter anything was because Ms. Dorsey met all of the qualifications? I'm just asking, was because Ms. Dorsey met all of the qualifications that that the ordinance had already met and qualified, which is why it probably didn't come up. That's the only thing could that be the reason why the board never saw it to begin with?
Oh, yes. We set up at the board, and I can call her one of those board members, I know exactly how to get over it. We did the qualification that we took the HR. Those are the qualifications that we used to hire the first ombudsman from Ms. Dorsey. We never was presented an ordinance.
What year was that? When did you hire Ms. Dorsey?
19.
Was it in 19?
19.
That's wrong. The first ombudsman was in 1980.
No.
1980.
Please let us.
That's not everything. Did y'all amend? Did y'all amend the charter for the ombudsman?
No, we're not. Will you let the board handle that, please?
No, I'm just asking a question.
We're not.
Because this man doesn't know you don't know.
We're not taking questions. We're not engaging with the public.
Oh, y'all just wasting time. If they're amending the charter,
Please. We won't interrupt you when you got.
Okay, all right.
Okay, let us do our job. So we put that together. And even when we went out, I sit down with me and can't even call his name, Councilor Gibbons. We sit down with HR. We go out to all job description that we had put together back in 2019. In fact, I might have it wrong, but I think we have been doing some 2020.
it was 2019, COVID. It was 2019.
No, we came together in 2019. We had Ms. Dorson, we had in 2020. We brought her in 2020. I had him as the second.
COVID didn't have that big so much on 20. Yeah.
And I sit down, me and Pastor Gibbons, we went over those descriptions. Since I became chairman, me and Sir Harris sit down with H&R and went over those descriptions. Never was that an ordinance presented, even mentioned item one. HR had it. They did not present it to us when we sit down and try to make the job description a little bit more so we can get more, I see your hand, that we can get more candidates, that we took some stuff out of it. But that, nothing ever was presented to us at any time by HR, by legal, or anyone else. The problem I have with that too is, can you tell me when was that, when you had information on when that went before council? Because so far there's nothing really showing that was ever presented before council.
I don't have any additional information. It does note on the face of the ordinance that it was adopted on May 13th of 2019. When it was introduced, when the readings were, I'm not sure. That would be a question for Clerk Donovan.
Yeah. I went back, I tried to go back and check. So let me have me back, start hands up first here.
When we made that vote, this same attorney that's sitting in here now was sitting in there, and he told us that we were within our rights to hire an ombudsperson when we made that vote, okay? The same attorney. Now, when Ms. Dorsey got hired, Ms. Dorsey did not meet all the qualifications, but because we had the authority to hire the person that we felt was most qualified for the job, and the job had been open, just like it's open now, we were searching and searching and could not find anybody. So Ms. Dorsey was the most qualified person and seemed to be the most dedicated individual as far as her training to step into this role. Ms. Dorsey did not meet all the qualifications. This board had the right, this board determined what the qualifications for the ombudsman was. Nobody else, okay? Yes, HR sat with Mr. King and Pastor Gilbert after this board discussed what we wanted and how we would like to see this situation move forward. This board basically decided what we were going to do, got all our ducks in a row, and then Pastor Gilbert and Mr. King worked with HR and we hammered it out. HR did not dictate to us. They didn't tell us who we had to hire. They didn't take over the interview process, okay? Yes, we posted it on the city's website. We met all the criteria that we were supposed to meet, per se the city. But at the end of the day, the qualifications were our decision. Who we hired was our decision. And it was a strict understanding that the administration was not supposed to play a part in that, and that included the city's attorney. Because like it's been stated before, the city attorney may assist us, but the city attorney's #1 priority is to work for the administration and the city.
Thank you.
Okay? Not for the ombudsman or the Ethics and Accountability Board. And the fact that this board voted on independent counsel a long time ago, but yet we have not been given the opportunity to see anyone. We basically having these guys from the city forced down our throats and forced to accept whatever they say, which often misses the mark once you go back and do some research or check around, just like we received that letter that kicked up all this stink, and then afterwards received another letter smoothing it over, and oh, that was not my intentions, and you have every right to do this. But see, now look at what we're in, and look at the situation Ms. Shasta's in, and look at how she's been being treated. Now, we got several letters went out concerning Ms. Shasta from administrators and an attorney that is not even supposed to be involved in the process. We are allowing this to get murdered, this Ethics and Accountability Board, because we will not make any decisions without checking with outsiders first. And if you're gonna do that, then there's no need for us if you gotta check with somebody all the time. We should be able to interpret the charter for ourselves. We've been looking at it long enough. Enough of us on here have been intelligent enough, and like I said, I want to see outside counsel at this point, because I don't trust the city, I don't trust the administration, and like I said, as board members, we shouldn't be put in a position to have to trust anybody. You're supposed to have all the tools and have all the avenues to go down to do your own independent thinking and make your own independent decisions, and I'm not seeing that that is the process that is being implemented here.
Let me straighten up something here. One is, first I'm Chris King had nothing, played no part in the role. Had no time, #1. And #2 is Ms. Dorsey was the most qualified individual that we interviewed. She had been a government ombudsperson before, the only one that had those skills. So those things is, she was overqualified. And then the one that brought before the old board to interview, I had no hands in it. I was not officer of this board at the time. In fact, I was not even in the state when they voted for the ombudsman. I was there for the interview, but not when we voted. So let's get that clear. Mr. Williams, you had, Ms. Harris, you had your hand up.
So, my thing is this now. Me and Mr. King did go before Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith said these are the job descriptions for the ombudsperson. No, it wasn't presented to us as an ordinance. We just saw the job description. So I said, okay, that's fine. My question is so then this board voted to take measures because the job description was so restrictive, because it's hard to find the qualifications of somebody like that in a city of this size. Chicago, New York, that's easy. But when you're dealing with somebody in the city of Flint, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. So we went there and when the board voted, we made the modified changes. So now the question is this. We conducted interviews for the second round off of those modified changes. Were those interviews, Joe, I got a question. Were those interviews null and void then?
I don't think they were necessarily null and void. It would be if an appointment were made based on one of those interviews for a person that didn't meet the qualifications, then that appointment would not be valid.
So I guess because what happened is this, we modified the job description so that we could get more people in for the job. So then when we hired, so when we pulled interviewing papers, they all came because we made those modifications. So that's why I'm asking, when those new roles came in, because if this was an ordinance and we made changes to an ordinance and we weren't supposed to make changes to the ordinance, then if those second round of people that were coming in with those changes, then we should have been caught then and said, wait a minute, guys, you can't make any modifications to the job description because there's an ordinance on file that prevents you from doing this. That's why I'm asking now, all the people we hired before, you know, even though we didn't make an appointment, but they all came through HR, they all submitted resumes and all of those things. Does that now mean that, you know, that was basically for naught?
Yes.
It has everything to do with it because I'm setting a principle that of backing you up, really. So just let me walk this dog.
The only other interview that would be covered
I never said
would
anything about fighting.
be, as I understand it, the appointment of Ms. Dorsey previously. And it sounds like, based on what Mr. King said, it sounded like her qualifications did fall under the job description. Now, what the Ethics and Accountability Board certainly could do is they can't unilaterally modify the job description. What they can do is they can propose a modification or amendments to the job description that then are presented to City Council for their consideration and adoption of an amended ordinance, if that makes sense.
I have a question.
And this is really
Can you tell me what qualification did she not meet? That's where I'm unclear.
This is really getting irritating.
5 years?
And there was another one.
5 years of negotiating experience on a local, state, or federal level. And mediation with that as well. That's what she was flagged for. It wasn't her degrees. It was the fact that she did not have 5 years of negotiating or mediation experience on a local level, a state level, or a federal level. That's what they flagged her.
And she worked in the school system for
But-
15 years.
But being a governmental employee is not the same thing. Even a janitor that works at the Treasury Department is still considered a governmental employee. The security guy that works
Right.
at the White House is considered a governmental employee.
That's
But
why she
that-
got 5 years.
But no, that's what I'm saying is just because you're a governmental employee does not mean that you have that you've negotiated before a judge or a magistrate on behalf of certain individuals. Now, what I'm saying is this. So I know that she worked for, Macon, Georgia, school system. If she was if she was negotiating on behalf of Macon, Georgia, and said, I was a school teacher, but I have negotiated on behalf of Macon, Georgia School Board with the city, with the state, and even on the federal level, that's what I'm just saying, that's what they're saying
That's
is
your
disqualified. No, that's what they're saying disqualified.
They don't have no say in it.
That's
They
what,
don't have no say in it.
Did you ask her?
no. I'm trying to tell you, all I'm saying is that's the only reason why they're saying she was disqualified. That's it.
And all I'm saying is you don't know if she negotiated or not, because I don't recall anybody asking her, and I've been here for all these months. I don't recall.
I wasn't at the interview.
I know it, so why?
So what happened at the interview then?
We
You
hired
tell
her,
me.
we hired her.
No, what questions did you ask during the interviewing
Hey,
process?
you got to show up. I don't have to give you no recap.
Let's,
Joe, when you gonna open up for questioning, people can talk 3 minutes. That'll help y'all out a whole lot. Y'all let the people talk. Yeah, I'm on the board meeting. I'm saying, hold on.
It was gonna happen here. If we can't get this.
I can't answer questions.
No, you cannot.
No, I'm telling you.
No, we're not talking back and forth here, not in this meeting.
Okay, well, when we gonna have 3 minutes then?
If we're gonna do that, I'm gonna take a motion for whoever interfered to leave and be.
Well, I'll leave Joe, y'all don't need to ask no questions.
We got take a question here. You can ask a question when you get with the public speech.
I asked you when we gonna have 3 minutes. That's the only thing I asked.
When we get through taking care of this business.
Okay, that's all I asked.
With all the agenda.
Okay, all
All the
right.
agenda. Let's please, you don't need to do this.
Gotta have that in the rules to put somebody out.
Now, the thing this board got to look at here is, we saw the application, and I looked at the application, I went back and looked at other application that I still had is, do this board feel that she met? It is the board decision. Me? Don't interrupt me, I don't want to interrupt you. If we, as I went back and looked at some of those qualifications, the ones that was said met, I didn't see anything, at least on a couple of them, that they had any more qualifications than Ms. Mill had. They should have been disqualified. And for the ordinance and stuff, and when I look at some of them, and I don't know why they're taking such interest in this, because I'm looking at position in the city of Flint, appointee position that people do not qualify
Exactly.
by ordinance and stuff there. And this is a board that is separate, and while I can't understand why there's such a big interest to everybody, that this board is here to keep them in check, is wild, a lot of word about this, but I am saying, and I do believe in ordinances to be taken seriously. Opinions are, legal opinions be taken seriously, but in the case that we have this board, with the information this board had, I don't think it did anything outside its boundary. At the time they did it. Now, it's been voted. And I guess what we have to decide is, we did everything by the charter and by the ordinance with the information we had. We did. Now, let's come to consensus, I don't know how we will go about it. Do we need to close this down and say, are we going to stick with our decision? Are we going to keep discussing, or are we going to go another way? It's the majority of the board, and I'm willing, right now, I'm willing somebody make a motion to do something.
Question, Mr. Chairman. Before we make a motion, I just want to ask one question. Joe, if this board goes forward with this continuing with our own decision and voting her in, I just want to know, what are the legal ramifications that come against this?
Oh my God, man.
Hey, what? Don't.
Oh man, I don't need nobody. Don't scream at me neither.
I don't need that.
Man, I can just say, oh my God, man. Come on now. Just say it.
Do something.
I'm not even talking to him, man. What? You just yell, man.
Trying to hear.
I wasn't talking to nobody, man.
Don't you try to
Hold up, man. I ain't trying to be like that, man. Just say, oh my God. Shit.
Agreed. Look, it's hard to hear in here with 2 or 3 people talking. So please, I'm not gonna do it to you, and don't do it to me. But I am, we got to try to get this meeting through with. Now, I go in here today, and I can't hear what's going on. Come back to you, Mr. Attorney.
Well, as I indicated, a legal opinion has been issued indicating that the Ethics and Accountability Board, pursuant to the adopted ordinance, did not have the legal authority to appoint Ms. Little as the ombudsperson. So if the Ethics and Accountability Board essentially affirms that decision that it's selected Ms. Little as the ombudsperson, then essentially it would be up to the administration, the appropriate departments in the administration to respond appropriately. I don't know what those actions would be. For example, they could take the decision not to process the paperwork to recognize Ms. Little as a ombudsperson. I don't know that's what they would do, but that's one hypothetical.
Another question. If this board challenge, administration, I would say, have already set a precedent that they have hired people that are not qualified in the position they're in. And then board they had a power to go back and investigate them and had those moves. That's a breach of the charter and ordinance. And I can think of at least 2 I know that not meet the qualification that is set forward.
And I think that would definitely be an option.
I'm sorry I didn't hear.
I think that would be an option if the board wanted to pursue the possibility of some type of...
Yeah. Well, okay.
Mr. King, is it reasonable for us as a board to ask the city attorney's office to appoint us outside independent counsel for the purpose of obtaining an independent second opinion on the board's action?
Well, and I guess I would refer the board to Mr. Kim's February 6th subsequent opinion on the retention of outside counsel.
What was, I missed that one. What was,
He's already issued his opinion.
I missed that one. What was that opinion, Joe?
We can resend a copy to the board members.
Yeah, because I missed that one.
You know, I thought
The charter says
we sent it to everyone.
They don't even supposed to have
What did it say?
this.
'Cause I missed that one.
It says we have a right for outside counsel.
No, I know what the charter says, I'm talking about, what was the second opinion?
That we have every right.
Only under investigations, he was challenging our right to.
He said we only have a right to hire an outside attorney for investigations only.
It said it, it's because of investigations, that's what I thought.
But
It's an inherent conflict of interest if we have concerns about an opinion that came from the city attorney's office. Right. We are not asking them to reevaluate their opinion. We need an outside independent opinion. We need to make sure we're in the right. So whatever is the right thing, we know what our powers say, we know what the charter says. The charter and ordinances are always subject to interpretation.
His
So-
executive summary is, well,
No, I didn't see this one.
yeah, so.
And my suggestion is probably, there's a time that we need to probably end up and even get this board in the right direction.
Stay on something.
Stand the course and let's fight for, let's just fight. It's up to the majority of the board. We can sit here all night and go back and forth. I think we got other speakers here. We want to make sure we let them speak before we got to get out of this. So I'm willing. Going on to the board, suggestion of decision. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to find out how in the world did Mr. Kim say we only have the power to bring in outside counsel for only investigations? That limits what we can do. That pissed me off. No, that did.
Yeah, right.
Don't you tell me how I cannot feel without Carol.
I said, yeah, right. I'm gonna say, yeah, right.
And I'm saying you out of line on that.
I don't care what you say.
How I feel.
I said, yeah, right, now.
Yeah, okay.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
No, Jim, take me about to say.
Come on, you guys, come on, let's go.
Carol, nothing.
Come on, let's do
Shit,
it.
everybody ain't gonna just be dragging me and checking me when they get ready.
Don't check me.
I'm done checking you. If I check you, I'll tell you how you compromise.
Oh, I didn't compromise on anything.
Come on.
So your suggestion
You don't have
is
to,
what?
you don't have to go back and do that to each other. Floor is open.
So, Mr. Chair, I just want to read from the charter under the powers of the Ethics and Accountability Board as it relates to the appointment of independent counsel when necessary. It is under paragraph C when it talks about conducting investigations on its own initiative, but it's not limited to those investigations. It says we can subpoena witnesses, administer oaths, take testimony, require the production of evidence relevant to a matter under investigation, appoint independent counsel when necessary. That's its own little provision there. Conduct financial and performance audits. Perform other functions essential to ensure the integrity of City of Flint government. And may seek enforcement through appropriate court action. So I don't believe our right to have independent outside counsel is limited to conducting an investigation.
And not, and it's not.
So,
Just saying what we got.
so let's,
I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion that we seek outside counsel if the city chooses to fight us on hiring and sticking by the decision that this board made to appoint Ms. Shaxter Little.
So they've already decided to do that, so why don't you just make a motion to seek outside counsel?
Because they act like they're trying to remove her. So I'm trying to make sure she can hold her position while we do this.
She gonna move that.
Yeah, but if she don't get
I'm sorry, restate your motion so I can get here. Kara, restate your motion.
Okay, the motion, I guess I need to get clarity from the board, because the motion is under the terms of what Mr. King said, that we're gonna stand on our decision that we made for Ms. Shasta to obtain the position. So is that the position of the board?
What the board vote on?
We already voted, so are we changing our mind?
The motion is to obtain outside counsel.
Okay.
Make sure that we
Oh, you're making a motion.
I don't know what's wrong with people in Flint, man.
Obtain outside counsel.
I'm making a
On the
motion.
position of what the board have already.
Decide. I'm making a motion that we move forward with giving Ms. Shasta the job like we unanimously voted on. And if the city or the administration is not happy with it, we immediately seek outside counsel to fight this case. That's what I'm making a motion for. To uphold what we have already supported unanimously, to move forward with the decision that this board made, when y'all had me come to that meeting, put it on the agenda, and had me vote on it, with this attorney sitting there saying we were in order, and we unanimously decided to give the job to Ms. Shasta. If you guys are going to reverse on that,
Can you shorten that motion up and put a little bit in there? Give me a motion that's.
okay, I'd like to make a motion that if necessary, this board seeks outside counsel for all matters concerning Ms. Shasta Little's ombudsman's appointment,
If necessary.
if necessary.
We have a motion on the floor, do I have a second?
set.
Moving second to seek outside attorney.
I'm trying.
No, I don't.
What I have is a motion to seek outside counsel to, as it relates to the hiring of the ombudsman, if necessary.
Yes.
Just kind of sum that up.
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Okay. It has been, motion has been made and proper second discussion. No discussion? And all in favor of the motion to hire outside attorney, and on our decision on ombudsperson position. All in favor say aye.
I think you gotta do a roll call vote.
Yeah, I guess we should do, probably
You
do
gotta do a
that.
roll call vote, that's not myself.
Mr. Want me to do roll call?
Yes, please.
Mr. King,
Yes.
Kara McIntosh,
Yes.
Micah Hutchinson. Yes. Patrick Jr.
Yes.
Linda Booth.
Yes.
Billy Harris.
Yes. I would, because they're two different levels.
Frida.
Abstain due to lack of clarity.
And myself, my vote is yes. So that motion carries with one abstention, no nays.
What was the total?
Seven yes, one abstain.
One abstention.
Okay. We move to the next item on the agenda. Budget.
Yeah, let's go to this church.
Mr. Harris, I guess you have a report for your committee?
I do. So, weren't able to meet with, myself, chair of the committee for the budget, for the board. Michael was in attendance, Ms. Cruz was in attendance. Unfortunately, Mr. Shell was out of the country, so she couldn't attend in multiple time zones. So what we came up with is we came up with a budget for the board at $91,500. And what we came up with was $15,000 for training. That would be for us to send a delegation to DC, since DC's Ethics and Accountability Board is basically shaped like ours, to sit in on their meetings to see, just to see how they process and handle things. The other board that handles stuff is also for Louisville, and then we can also bring them in, and then also bring in outside training once we get new board members and things of that nature, and that matter. So that's $15,000 for training. We did $25,000 for social media. And in social media, that's a web page, because we don't have a web page on the city website. So we don't have the ability.
Just give us the proposed budget.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. That's all in the proposed budget.
I know, but without explaining each
Oh,
line item,
okay.
give us the numbers.
So $25,000 for social media, that's with the webpage, that's with all that done. For miscellaneous fees, we came up with $6,000. For secretary, we determined at $25,000. And I tried to find out how much the city bills outside attorneys at for legal fees, so that I could put that inside of our budget. But I never heard back from what the city bills outside attorneys. So we couldn't figure that cost in. So that's where we came in with the 91.5. Okay. And it's to be determined to be increased once we found out whatever an outside attorney will be billed at.
This don't equal 91.5.
I got 71.
I got a question right now. Mr. Harris, did that include any communications for the board, like cell phones or anything like that?
No.
We didn't include that.
No, we did. No, actually, we did. That would come up under supplies. That's what I'm leaving out.
How much was that?
That was technology.
That's
So,
technology.
technology. Thank you, Carol. Technology.
How much was that line?
20.
But for training, it also includes training for the new and buzz person, because a lot of us have been placed in this position, and there was no orientation, no training. The council people, they select who they want out of their wards, and nobody gets training. Because actually, the meeting shouldn't be this long, and they should be shorter. I mean, there's a process, that everybody should be aware of. And the main thing is, to understand the city charter, which is it's really vague, because there's a lot of dark areas.
So I heard you guys say that you're sending a delegate to DC, so that's one person.
No, delegation. That's why.
That's everybody?
So the 15K, actually, they were increments. So social media, I just said 25K, but we increased it. We said 25 to 35 because we didn't know what we were going to get a pushback back. That's why I
So this is training for the entire board?
Yes. Yeah. Not just one person. This is the training for the entire. Forgive me if I didn't.
Change that term.
Yeah, forgive me.
That's what my question.
Yeah, forgive me if I didn't explain that correctly. That's my fault. So yeah, that'd be training for the entire board. And the reason why I put social media that high is we would have to have somebody to manage our page and things of that nature. So because we were trying to go a workaround, since the ombudsperson doesn't have the ability to post to the city website, but it has to be posted to an internet source. I figured since we would have our own web page, that would classify falling up under that with the charter. So we try to come up with workarounds. So 91.5 is
Right, but that does not have a line item for outside counsel though.
No.
So are you anticipating increasing that proposal?
Yes.
You just don't know by how much yet?
Yeah, that's actually, I'm gonna be honest with you, so I sent out an email to Attorney Kim in regards to asking how much does the city budget outside city attorneys. That's where I didn't realize he sent back that opinion in regards to that, because that's what Micah said, and that's why he said, I can't give you figures on billing for outside city attorneys. That's why I was waiting, and I hadn't heard anything back because I was waiting for the email to come back. But then when Micah showed me that explains why we didn't get the figures for what the outside attorney fees would be. So I'm clueless on that line item.
So I would like to throw in that we can make amendments if we come up short, but to not include it, period, I think is a gross neglection of our duties. I think we should at least include maybe somewhere from $30,000 to $50,000 for outside counsel. And then if we end up needing more, we can always go back and amend, and not to even request any type of budget funding for outside counsel. And we see the kind of issues that we're having. I think we're putting ourselves in a bad position, and I think we're not doing our due diligence if we move forward and don't even consider attorney fees.
No, I agree with you, and that's one of the reasons why, because we couldn't come up with anything, because we didn't know. So I figured, I said, all right, let's just take it to the board, and let's just see what everybody else may say on that figure.
So a reasonable rate for an experienced attorney can be anywhere from $200 to $250 an hour.
But is that what the city bills at? Because I thought when we here's the question. When we hire an outside attorney, do we have to go with their rate, or do they have to go with the city bills attorneys at?
You gotta pay a person what they say you pay them for their talent. I mean, if the city gotta count, they gotta say that.
So when I was a city attorney, I required everybody to honor our rates. So you may have, like city council would get independent counsel, but they would have to agree to our hourly rate. But they could pick whoever they wanted to. But if that person normally charged $3.50 an hour, they were only getting paid $2.50 an hour because my law department was paying them.
Okay.
But that was back when I was a city attorney, so I don't know
That was
what.
how many years ago?
That was about good 10, 15 years ago.
Okay, so 250, 10 years ago, come on, let's be honest, groceries up, inflation up, bread up, so.
But you can get attorneys that will understand you working within this type of environment. So that's why I say, you use a reasonable rate.
I don't, I've never seen it.
Well, I can tell you, and I don't know, because I personally asked Mr. Kim for that information. And he don't want to reply back to everyone but me, but the council hired the attorney 2 years ago, and that information was given to the council, that they had to hire at the rate the city paid. Now, why we can't get that information from Mr. Kim, that's $2.50, if I remember right, was the rate that he quoted the council when they had to hire an attorney.
Then we should just utilize that rate and move on.
Well, or either, like I said, give us set $30,000, $40,000 aside. It doesn't matter what you're paying. If you ain't gonna pay over $250 an hour, you ain't getting over $250 an hour. It don't matter how much money I got aside. You know.
See, I guess I'd rather see 25,000 for training and 15 for outside counsel or something.
Okay.
Because
that's fine. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. However we want to flip it, I'm fine. We're all amenable to it. It's just, that's something we can't go with. So
when is your budget due to the city? Your proposed budget?
That's just part of it.
Yeah, this is a part of this is going to be attacked on to the ombudsman's budget and
Right,
everything else.
when is it due?
End of March.
March.
But then I thought,
No.
the end of this month, ain't it?
Yeah, I think so.
We're not gonna, the mayor's budget goes, that be presented to the council.
So yours need to be, go ahead.
It gotta be presented to the council first of March. So that is the, so we're not gonna make it in on the bad budget, because I'm sure he already did his. We just have to submit ours to finance and make sure we get in there, so when the council starts, having a public hearing and stuff, our budget is there.
If we have our numbers, why wouldn't we send it to see if he's, yeah, we should at least try.
I didn't say we weren't gonna set it, I'm saying, our plan, soon as, what I plan on doing now is
Well, then we,
having the board accept it.
then that's finalized, this
Well,
proposed budget
right.
tonight.
Then we send the
Get it up to the
budget in.
administration.
We here now.
You're getting ahead of me, I'm getting there, I'm trying to get there now.
Okay, so I agree. Let's flip, let's make training 25,000. Let's make legal fees 15.
And that puts us at a total of.
We didn't have to.
$116,000.
What were the last two?
So if you have a,
91.
What was it, 15 to?
15
Well,
to
the budget,
25.
budget for the board is,
For social retraining.
with that, I would entertain a motion to accept the change of the budget.
Let's do this, Michelle, let's just make it even 120. So at least that's us.
Okay, where do you want to get the, put the additional for?
Let's put the additional forward legal. Well, that's gonna be up under supplies.
Is that a supply? Because you got, just because you put it under here, your line items have to be what they say. If it's supplies,
Well, you
can't throw,
You got 6,000 under miscellaneous. If you're gonna add 4, we can make that as even 10.
10, all right, let's do that. So miscellaneous, that can be supplies.
And that can
come up
fall
under-
under
Okay,
that.
cool.
So proposed budget is 120.
I would entertain a motion to accept and move and probably support it to accept the budget committee report for $120,000 in a discussion.
Well, Sheriff, make sure you, make sure you, in that motion, communication.
Can you speak up, sir?
Make sure you put that in, can you make sure that it's,
that you
the
know
other Ethics and Accountability Board's budget?
independent, separate.
Independence. from
Make sure that it's
reimbursement.
separated, so we can spend it on us. If you lump it together,
Right,
then
you don't want to lump it together.
is what they're saying.
It's separate.
We are gonna lump it together because we're gonna end up
With
submitting the
one-
whole
with-
budget.
Right,
Right.
But as far as this motion,
2 paragraphs,
separate.
right.
This is separate.
Yeah.
Operational expense.
Okay.
Did you hear me?
Any more discussion?
So this budget is for Ethics and Accountability Board.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay?
Yeah, we just wanted to make sure that, I just wanted to make sure that, you know, we were, that this was the best, at least bargaining start for the board. Because I wanted us to start high, even though if they try to walk us back, you know,
Of course, they do.
and of course, they gonna walk us back, at least we can end up with, hopefully.
Yeah, some
walk.
work.
But we got room to play with. And I want, I just
I'm
want
calling
to
for
make
the
sure.
question. Do you need a roll call? Or can we?
Roll call. Let's do roll call.
We wouldn't need it. Well, we'll do a roll call, go ahead. We don't need it, so, not for this.
All right, Mr. King?
Yes.
Carol? Patrick?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
Vote for her?
I had to make sure.
Billy?
Yes.
Frida?
Yes.
Micah?
Yep.
Myself, yes.
Okay,
You want
that
Carl?
motion for the budget has been passed, 8-0. Now we will move to old business, new business. Any member having old business or new business you want to discuss?
We gotta, we need to, with the board's all right to vote, we need to send another letter to, this priest, to Councilwoman Priestley.
Hold on, I'm sorry. I got ahead of myself. I stepped on the public feet.
I didn't know it really
Yeah, I'm sorry. Board is gonna open up for public speaking. I didn't take, we haven't committed names, but I'm gonna ask, anyone want to speak? We're gonna let you speak, and when you reach your 3 minutes, before you meet, in 20 seconds before you meet 3 minutes, I will let you know that you wind it up. So, we're gonna, let anyone that want to do public speaking, go ahead and speak.
My name is Wilbert Papa Jerry, Ethics baby boy.
Set time for 3 minutes.
This meeting could have been over
3 minutes,
probably
counting down.
about an hour and a half ago. Carol told y'all exactly what it was. Now, the first ombudsman was Joe Ducer. Richard Dix was his assistant ombudsman. This is 1980. Since then, they have revised the charter containing the provision how y'all run the ombudsman. I appreciate you reading that to them, because that's exactly what Carol said. The ombudsman was created for to be the police department over the city employees, the mayors, and all that. And if you read that, if it's still in the charter, if they ain't amended the charter, mayor ain't got nothing to do with y'all. Mayor ain't got nothing to do with y'all budget. Now, the question I got, y'all send y'all budget up there to Neely, they got 5 votes, they get pissed off, said they ain't gonna give y'all no money. Then y'all, I don't know if there's a provision in the charter for y'all to challenge that. Now that's what Neely's gonna have against y'all when y'all send the money up there. Now, another question, is y'all got any money in the bank right now to pay this thing? Nobody never gonna answer that.
She's being paid.
Yeah, she's being.
But y'all got money in y'all own account?
She got a budget.
Okay, who controls y'all account?
I'm sorry, we ain't supposed to talk to them.
This is like public speech.
Public speaker. Carol, I asked Carol this since Sylvia don't want me to talk. I'm gonna talk. I ain't gonna know what she's talking about. Now, y'all got enough money until whenever April to pay this lady.
The Buzzperson had their own budget and her stuff is supposed to come out of her budget.
So what does she mean with HR for? If y'all got your own money,
I don't know why they keep it.
y'all, well then if you don't have an HR person and y'all been paying all this time, y'all don't need an HR person. Y'all got enough sense to pay her money. That's the only, I'm gonna use this word, cordial. Is that word? Cordial, block. That's the only block y'all got. With what y'all wanna do, if the city council, which immediately got 5 votes, if he don't like what y'all doing, he can stop y'all money.
Oh, yeah.
On in the new budget. If y'all already got y'all money, y'all good right now.
250.
But I appreciate you reading.
No matter what, it's in the charter.
Reading the charter. This committee operates by charter. All that they talking about a resolution, this man talking about he don't know this and that. That ain't nothing. He don't even have to be here because y'all got your own money. Y'all control your own budget.
But Mr. Pomper, I wanna say this,
Well,
the charter says she automatically get $250 for this, and that's period. That's what the charter says.
We'll respond to them.
Okay.
Thank you. My name is Jan Marie Arbor, and it's a pleasure to be here at the board meeting. This is only my second opportunity to attend an E&A board meeting. And if you don't mind, I can hear you, which makes it very difficult for me to concentrate. I'm so sorry. But I want to, first of all, thank you for sharing so much information, so much history that helped me understand what's been going on and what has led up to where the board is right now with hiring Ms. Janice Little. More importantly, I want to congratulate and commend you for your backbone, for sticking to your guns, for not allowing yourselves to be bullied, to be willing to fight a good fight for a person who is worthy of her position. You deserve so much respect for that. And that's something that this community has been looking for from our E&A board. So this is such a victory for you, and I am proud of you, and I wish to give you 2 hands on that. Now, in terms of some of the things that Attorney Joe, pardon me, I don't know your last name, Joe, shared with regard to the ordinance passed in May 2019, and the preceding ombudsperson not having to meet that ordinance and its requirements, or not coming before the board. Apparently, HR or whomever felt that she met all the requirements, but nonetheless, you weren't aware of it. So in my opinion, of course, I'm not an attorney, I'm just an individual with an opinion, that should not matter. The precedent seems to be that an individual was hired without your knowledge of the ordinance. And you have made a decision based upon her experience, what she has brought to this board during the term what she has served, and you have confidence in her ability. And I think that is most important for your decision and carries most weight. As it regards any potential lawsuit, hopefully that won't happen. Anything can happen, but at least you have the monies to work with should you need to hire an attorney. And know that the public stands with you. We stand behind you. We do not want an administration that is dictatorial over the city, over our E&A board, or over our council. Everyone should be free to think independently and according to their position as it affects our citizens and our government. So again, I want to thank you so much for all the fine work that you've done as a body, and continue to do the good work.
Anyone else?
Yeah.
Hold on, man.
All right, okay. Let's start off by saying February the 4th, 2019
3 minutes.
is when the
count down.
first public hearing was for that ordinance. February the 4th. And if I'm not mistaken, for the second reading, it's a time period in between. And then they adopted right after the second reading. So if it was February the 4th of the first public reading, I think it's the next following full board, full council meeting is when they read it again, and then they adopt it, if I'm not mistaken. And I know it's factual because it's in M Live, the first reading. Why do y'all sit up here and debate something, man? Y'all supposed to be the ones got them scared. Y'all sitting up here scared to death. You asking him, he don't even supposed to be in here. He's biased. He was appointed by the mayor.
That's right.
That's right.
Why are you even questioning him? Helping you, HR shouldn't even be involved.
That's right.
The application should be going to the city clerk and then coming to the president and the vice president. Y'all automatically got $250,000 if they take it, which this lawless mayor will do and try to, because he's lawless. Ms. Williams, I really do believe that you allow your relationship with your church member to get in the way of your voting. I really do believe that. If you are receiving any monies in a 501c3 or whatever from the city, you should resign because you compromised. If your family member is receiving money from the city, you should resign because you are compromised. There's no way that y'all should be sitting up here for 2 hours talking about something that y'all already voted on.
Right.
This mayor is lawless. His administration is lawless. Matter of fact, last night, the job description that they put up for the DPW, they took everything out of it. It's about 9 different job requirements that they took out of it. Changed the MDQ certification F and S, which is plant and sewer, took all that out. They done dumbed down what the DPW person's supposed to be. They manipulate. And that's what they're doing here. William Kim is the dumbest attorney I've ever seen in my life.
You got that right.
And he will lie.
Yes.
And y'all sitting up here going by what he says. Just like the metal detectors. They over there telling us they can do it. They put in a summary disposition. The judge said, no, you are wrong. Period, point blank. They are wrong. They are lawless. This administration, they paid, go ahead, $700,000. They didn't even have a house to do. They can't even supply addresses. This is a lawless administration, but y'all hell-bent on going after the crying counsel that come down here every day instead of the ones that's really going after, the ones that's really doing lawless stuff.
I'll second.
Get back, Mom.
That's almost a minute left.
I ain't mad, okay, no problem. No problem.
Some more public, some more public speakers? Some more public speakers? If not, then each board member would have, I don't know where the 1 minute comes from, for whatever time you needed to respond.
I would like to say in all fairness to the attorney, when we first started out, we asked the city attorneys to come in and do some, interpret the charter for us. We read it, but there was still some gray areas, and I think we even had to ask for, some assistance with that, and we went over it to Nate Dorsey. She got some clarity, came back to us. But in all fairness, we asked the city attorneys to come to our meeting in the beginning, and they've been coming ever since. So that's how they got started.
Don't feed a cat.
That's how they got started. It's just I just want to, explain, because we started out ground zero. I mean, and when we hired Miss Dorsey, she really helped build us. Didn't she, Carol? She helped. We didn't have nothing. When I say we didn't have nothing, we didn't even have an ink pen. We didn't even have a place to meet. We had nothing. It was horrible. And and they found us so bad because they thought we were here to investigate those departments. But we are, like if a citizen have a complaint about any of those departments, all the way from the top to the bottom, to the maintenance department, we had to, investigate ourselves. We did a lot of investigating before we had Nate Dorsey. I mean, we labored. Nobody really know how hard we labored. So, we just want to, do our job, have a cohesive group, the support of our community, to get things done. And we don't want to be like city council. I'm going to say it. We don't. We don't want to, we don't want to be like city council where we can't come here and agree on things, because we have a lot of work to do. There's a lot of stuff we still trying to get done that haven't been done. We never thought we was going to go through all this just to get the first time we got in a Buzzperson, it was a smooth sailing. And she got us on track. But now it's just like pulling teeth, and we interviewed people. We even interviewed, HR department even sent us a person who was a EMT tech. He was a EMT tech. And he had, they spoon-fed us these applications. And the reason why it took us so long to get what we have now is because we rejected a lot of, we rejected some, Well, I was trying to be, we had to reject a lot from HR, like they were spoon feeding us a bunch of junk. Yeah, because really, when I saw that EMT tech come in, and it looked like he probably was getting ready to go out here and make a run, it wasn't even professional.
Can I make a comment on that? I know
I'm done. I just want you to have a picture of what we've been through. We've been through a whole lot. You just don't know. And we didn't think it would go like this. After we interviewed, we did it right. We did it the way everybody wanted us to do it. And then when we made a decision, then everybody, still at us. I'm used to being around the city. I've been in government for a long time with all the mayors and stuff. So I'm used to it. So it don't faze me at all. It doesn't faze me.
Board member?
I'll say this. With in regards to all this issue, I don't know if anybody brought it up or not, I'll just say this. In regards to the issues with Doug Matthews, he was not selected.
Yay.
I'm putting it out there. He was not selected. And that transpired before Councilwoman Burns came and spoke. Nobody knew that we had already conducted interviews. Those interviews were conducted a long time ago. So I want to go on record by saying that, that decision was already made before her comments came out and everything else came out. So, and so I don't understand where all these comments are coming from with him in regards to that, because the investigation group, we already concluded what we were going to do anyway. And no, he was not in that decision. And I would tell him that to his face if he shows up to another board meeting.
But the views of Williams had, I'm just kidding. I just want to say thank everybody for coming out. It's good to see you all out. Just thank you very much.
I did have a couple of things that I wanted to say. I spoke to someone concerning the issues that took place yesterday at the city council meeting. This was somebody from the public, okay? I ain't called nobody, but I did call them because somebody reached out and told me they wanted me to call them. So let me tell the truth about it. And their concerns was when Ms. Jan Marie spoke, whatever transpired there, that's yesterday, but a member of the public, RL. If you don't know who RL is, he's the gentleman. He has some type of speech impediment, but he's very much involved in our Flint politics. And evidently he got up for whatever his reasoning was, but this person sent me several angles of the situation, and if we not had some members of the public jump up, Mr. RL looked like he could have possibly been a victim or something, or that could have went so wrong.
Yes.
I am calling on this board, the residents, the city council, to understand that we will have differences. We will not always agree. People will not always say things that you like. But what we cannot allow, okay, whether they your ops or you they ops, what we cannot allow is our differences to render this city a dead body, okay? Especially concerning the little stuff that we're going back and forth and bickering over. It's so minute when you think about the fact that lives could have been lost yesterday. Not just RL, because once somebody gets to we all know once that fire starts burning, it's hard to clear that smoke, okay? That could have been totally chaotic. I am calling on all of us to do better. Okay, you might not always like stuff that public speakers are saying. We have to allow it. I mean, at the Ethics and Accountability Board, we never allow speakers to attack people personally. You can speak about the issues. If you spoke about an individual, you have to have a complaint in against them, flat out, or you shouldn't be speaking on individuals unless something had taken place that they had done. You could come in here with you didn't like them and they did this and you don't think. If they did something to you, put your complaint in. Other than that, this is not the place for you to drag somebody. You can publicly speak, but you can't use it for slander. So we have to be mindful. We have to understand that people have a right to speak to the issues and stuff. But we also have to understand that we as the city, okay, I don't care how the city feel about it. I don't care how the city council feel about it. We can't have our public servant gunning down citizens at the request of city council. Okay, we got enough black eyes. We're not even really over our water crisis. We got our ARPA situation. We can't have that. So I'm asking that all of us be considerate of that. I'm asking that our police officers seriously consider how, if they're going to be involved in these city council meetings and addressing our residents with force, that they make sure that they leave their guns out of it. If you are going to be used in this personal manner, maybe they need to take some wrestling classes or something so you wrestle. You can't shoot nobody. You can subdue somebody, you could restrain somebody, you can't gun somebody down because they don't agree with what you're saying and they refuse to be quiet. Because now we're crossing over into people's constitutional rights. Okay, and right or wrong, that's open for discretion, but what we do know is freedom of speech exists, especially in governmental forms.
Absolutely.
So we got to work on that. And also, that was the one thing I wanted to say. And I'm also disappointed. I'm going to speak on this. I don't know if this, maybe no, I'll save it for city council. I'll go to city council.
I say you're way over your 1 minute.
I'm
way over 1 minute.
Okay, okay, and I yield. I'll be first one ready to go, so go ahead, y'all.
Well, because now I want to talk after that. I'm just saying. I'm sorry, I got to say one thing to Jan. This is big. You know you went over your time yesterday.
Yes.
You know she's going to take the bait every time because that's Candace Mushat. She's just going to take the bait.
Excuse me. Appreciate we trying to do something here. Trying to conduct a meeting.
I know, but you weren't just conducting it. You let everybody run over 1 minute, and you cut him off at 3 minutes, but you let each member go over 1 minute. So you're not actually doing it correct. I just wanted to say one thing, if I could, please. That's all, because I was at that meeting last night.
Let me, I'm gonna ask you a question right quick. Number one, I told this board member that they would allow at first time that they need to address the public.
That's right.
I don't need you to conduct my meeting. Just respect it. I had another board member want to address the public. Okay. I'll say one thing. The public, you say one thing, let me tell you, this board do not have a budget. The ombudsman also have a budget of $250,000 that is mandated by the charter.
Okay.
The ombudsman office. As first thing is, one, I heard the thing about the attorney, but just about every city attorney, all board for the city of Flint supposed to be represented and have legal representation there when they do their meeting. He's not just showing up whether we like it or not. It is the duty of the city attorney to help enforce this charter, his mandate in the charter. Whether it happened or not, we have no control over that. So I just want to clear those things up. But what the public have to do with this is nothing but a smoke screen. It does not mean that much to this ombudsman to anyone unless you're trying to get someone looking somewhere else. The charter has been violated. And we're all worried about ombudsman position that you all, the time you spend worrying about the water crisis and the resident not getting the aquifer and stuff, you're spending more time worrying about our buzz office, this board, and it's important. It's important, but we need to.
We're worried about being fair.
Ma'am, would you please? Would you please? Now,
He got a parent there, he didn't hear you.
I'm not gonna try to talk over here on one thing. And I'm going,
Me,
if you
728, it's 728.
I'm not gonna try, I've never tried to talk over one, and I like to respect them and let you say what you have to say. And I demand that same respect. Okay, I demand that. But,
I love you. You gonna get some time?
I'm not even, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
You need to make the motion first. Who made the motion?
I make a motion that this meeting be adjourned at 7:29.
It's been
Hold on, Ms. King, Carol, that's what I was about to ask. That's.
Did we vote to accept the budget from?
Yeah. Did we vote to accept the ombudsman's budget as well?
No,
She didn't present it.
she had to bring it forward.
She had to present it. Is it
Okay,
ready?
is it ready?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
ready. She doesn't try.
We just,
Who supported this motion?
I support it.
Question.
been moved.
We've got to, before we close, for the next agenda, we've got to bring forth our end of the year report. That's what I want to discuss before we do our end of the year report, so our committee can get together so that the board can go before city council and present our end of the year report.
Well, yeah, we'll take it. Motion been made and seconded. This meeting is adjourned.
I was y'all favorite one.